believe he's a good head coach. I believe he's one of the best defensive coordinators that's in the nation.
Right.
And given his time at Florida and the production of our defenses at that time in Florida, that should just kind of speak for itself. That should kind of speak for itself. But I really feel like I kind of put Muschamp in the same position as Taggart. Good recruiter, great for his players, doesn't know crap about offense. And so if they can, I kind of feel like his staff is more on the hot seat than Muschamp would be.
Muschamp, okay. Because I read an article today. They predicted, of course, Georgia and Alabama to win. They had Georgia in the East being the top team in the East, Florida being number 2. They had Alabama, and then they had Texas A&M, which no one's talking about the Aggies, and that's a team that the Gators don't play this year. And they could be one of those teams that might shock Alabama. I mean, I could even see LSU shocking Alabama this year.
Texas A&M was a pass interference, Let me go ahead and put that out there. A bad pass interference call away from beating Clemson last year. They really were. And I totally, a lot of, and I know, on the sites that I go for, that I work with, Florida U State especially, there's not a lot of love from Florida State fans for Jimbo, and I really don't understand that in the very least. He brought him a national title. He brought him a bunch of really good things. Unfortunately, personal issues with the wife cheating on him, the embarrassment from that, and the embarrassment that it was all under the staff. I think Jimbo just needed a change of venue. I still feel that Jimbo is actually one of the top coaches in the nation. And so Texas A&M is very definitely. I'm not going to sit here and say that this is the year, but give Jimbo another 2 or 3 years with that recruit, with the way he recruits. They're going to be They're going to be at the top of the SEC West.
Well, and really too, that's one of the toughest places to play in the SEC too. College Station is not a fair crowd when you have to go there on the road and play them. Now, I'm not saying it's the toughest.
They call them the 12th man for a reason, man.
Yeah. I mean, to me, and again, I've never been to the Swamp, and I'm hoping to get there next year. But I think that one of the toughest places to play is in Baton Rouge. I think to go to Death Valley, the Gators have to go there this year.
I'm going to go ahead and agree with you there. I believe that Death Valley on a Saturday night is literally the hardest place to play college football.
I totally agree with you.
I don't see anybody over. I really don't.
When you have to go to Baton Rouge, it's tough. That's just a tough venue to play in, especially on a Saturday night. Yeah.
And let's go a little bit further. If you look at LSU, I don't think, even when you talk Alabama, I think they hate Florida more than even Alabama now. And so if you look at their fans, they definitely do. There is not a fan base on, these college football sites that I'm a part of that, trolls Florida as much as LSU does. And it's kind of funny because, I don't know where all the, where it's come from. It kind of stemmed a little bit from the Hurricanes fiasco, but, but that was more of a reason for Florida to be mad than LSU was. So
correct.
I don't understand where it was, but for us to be able to stop them on the one in 2016 and be able to stop them on the one and be able to shock them on senior night, LSU has every reason to want to beat Florida this year. So don't sit there and take the Gators out of that equation either. They have every reason to want to beat LSU. But I if you had to circle games on our schedule, and being a Gator fan, of course, I'm going to say, woohoo, we're going to be 12-0 every year. That's the expectation. But at the same time, when you're looking at it from a sports writer's point of view, or you're looking at it in reality, you really got to circle that LSU game. I think that's the toughest game we play all year. I even put that over Georgia. I feel like we have a better chance of beating Georgia than LSU.
I agree with you because I looked at the schedule and I agree with you. And, the Georgia game, obviously we play in a neutral location. We don't play in Athens. We don't go to Gainesville. That's a neutral location in Jacksonville. And I wrote an article about that, and everybody lost their shit that, oh, they'll never move back to Jacksonville. I wasn't saying that. I just heard a rumor that Kirby Smart wanted to go back to maybe playing at home. Again, he's worried because you can't have recruits there or this and that. I tried to make
I'm going to be honest with you. Go further. Yeah. Go further. Dan Mullen feels the same way. You know what I mean? When it comes to the coaching, when it comes to the coaches of that, they would love to see home and home series. But the problem is, when you have I looked it up. I remember when you broke that article, there was a couple other articles that came out about it, and I remember researching it. The city of Jacksonville on the Georgia-Florida weekend literally makes 42% of their revenue.
Yeah,
there you go. That the city brings in a year. When you're talking 42%, and you're talking a big city in Jacksonville, I think the money guys are never going to let that happen. Even when the two teams want it to happen, even when the coaches wanted that. I mean, look at the situation with Miami and Florida back in the day. Spurrier wanted to renew that rivalry so bad. Like, he went on, like, he even called out his own athletic director on it, and they even got into words on in an interview between the two of them where they got into words about it, where Spurrier wanted to see it happen. But in the end, the coaches aren't the ones making those decisions. It's that big money. It's the big money. It's the 80s. And plain and simple, Jacksonville gives both schools too much money for them to be able to just say, we're not going to move it.
Well, I mean, and now we're going to play Miami. It's not going to happen, for another, 4 or 5 years from now, but they did agree to a series between the two teams. I did see that the other day. And
we've got them. They come to the Swamp in 24, and we go to Miami in 25.
25. Okay. And I don't know if you've been reading this or not, but going back to UCF and them calling out USF for planning all of these home 2-1 games, and I'm so freaking excited because I get to see my Gators in Tampa next year because they're going to be making a trip to Raymond James Stadium.
That's the exciting thing.
But I disagree with UCF. They said that USF is making the conference look bad, but yet you want to be considered one of the teams that goes to a major bowl game or goes to the college football playoff, but yet you don't want to play any major teams, where USF has scheduled Miami, Florida, Alabama, just to name a few in the next few years.
And let's not sit here and act like that USF didn't have some success against them. They actually have a win against Miami. You know what I mean? And so I totally agree with you.
So, yeah,
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you, man. If UCF wants to be anything more than what they are, they need to go ahead and suck it up, and they need to do what University of South Florida is doing, and go ahead and schedule these guys. You know what I mean? And go ahead and push forward to prove that they're a team, because I have an utmost respect for USF. I'm a Charlie Strong fan myself. I really am. A lot of people don't like him, but when he was the defensive coordinator, at our 08 championship, like when we had when they had the celebration in the Swamp, I was there. And when they announced Charlie Strong, I'm sitting there, doing the whole bowing thing with my hands and stuff, because straight up, he's as best as they come as a defensive coordinator. Do I feel that, I'm not for sure about whether he's going to, be known as a great head coach down there. But I will say I have a lot of respect for him, and I think he's a great guy, and I think that USF is going in the right direction. I really do.
To me, when he went to Texas, when he left Louisville, that was a bad combination. And again, I hate to say this. I don't like to talk politics on my show. It's not the rumor to talk. But I really think, to be honest with you, with him, when he went to Texas, it was bad news from the beginning, because I hate to say this, because it was the color of his skin. And Texas is still one of those states that, doesn't primarily, like I said, I'm not a racist person. I will never be a racist person. But to me, that's my opinion. It was doomed from the get-go. And he couldn't beat Oklahoma. And again, with every rival school, if you can't beat the rival team, you're going to be short-lived. Now, he comes to USF.
Well, in a way, I kind of object. You're right. You are totally right when you say that. But I kind of object to that fact because Oklahoma, when he played them, Oklahoma had some of the top teams in the nation.
Correct.
And he took over a team that wasn't that great and to begin with. So I didn't understand the expectations that Texas had of Strong. You know what I mean? I really just didn't understand that, and have they beat them since then? Nope. So,
Texas beat them last year. Or, Texas beat Oklahoma last year.
I'm sorry.
And then they flipped it in the Big 12 championship game, and Oklahoma won and went on to the college football playoff. Oklahoma was in one of the Final Four teams last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, they did. They were.
Texas beat them by a field goal. It was a miracle field goal at the end of the game, and Texas beat them. And then they flipped the script. Come the Big 12 championship game, they flipped the script, and Oklahoma defeated them to move on to the college football playoff. Yep, that's what happened a year ago.
Now, am I saying this? Am I incorrect on? Please correct me if I'm wrong. But didn't Texas do that with pretty much what Charlie Strong recruited?
Correct. Yes. No, you're not wrong.
See?
You're not wrong at all.
Yep. And so I very definitely, and I hate to say this because I don't like admitting that we still live in a world that this is a problem. But I very definitely think you hit the nail on the head when you said it had to do with the color of his skin.
Absolutely.
And that's sad to say that we still live in a world. We still live in a world that's an issue.
Yep.
But
I agree.
Unfortunately, you're correct.
Well, and I've got to cover USF. This is my second year covering the Bulls, and I honestly believe that something. I'm not going to go into saying miracles are going to happen. I think this is going to be a spectacular year. I think with what happened a year ago with USF, we came out of the way. We won 7 games. We were 7-0, and then the wheels fell off. We lost the last 6, including the home game in Raymond James Stadium in a bowl game. We got murdered by Marshall. So this year we go out.
Which I'm going to put out there and say if you want to talk about weak spots in Strong's career, that was last year. Y'all should have. USF should have murdered Marshall. So I don't really understand, and maybe you know a little bit more about what happened, or could shed a little bit of light of what happened, because I kind of was sitting there scratching my head like, what happened to you guys? You know what I'm saying? Because they didn't play up to potential, in my opinion.
What happened is we couldn't move the ball offensively, and the one thing that we're going to have an issue with coming up next Friday, which I'm freaking excited to see them play Wisconsin, and I'm hoping for an upset, but we couldn't stop the run. We gave up 400 yards a game on the total offense. You can't do that and win games. You can't do that in college football and win games. And especially when you're in a conference.
It doesn't matter who you play. You can be playing Appalachian State. You give up 400 yards, it's over.
So, we had good wins last year. The Georgia Tech game was one of the most exciting games. We had 2 kick returns for 90-plus yard kick returns for touchdowns. We were able to slow down that triple option offense, and now that coach has left, and Georgia Tech got a new head coach. We get to play them the second week of the season after we play Wisconsin. But I just think with Kerwin Bell coming in, I was at the spring game, a couple months ago. It's going to be interesting because the offense is going to be a little bit more dynamic than it was last year. And if we can play halfway decent defense, we're going to win 8-9 games this season. It's just we're not going to.
I truthfully do.
Yeah, we're not going to be perfect.
I believe that. I believe you're right. Now, let me ask you this: Do you think that UCF is on UCF's level this year? Will they be able to unhinge what has been running that conference?
With Mackenzie Milton hurt, and I know a lot of people are going to put the blame on USF's fault. I watched that play. I wasn't at that game last year. That's the only game I missed last season was the UCF game. I didn't get a chance because I had to work late, didn't get a chance to go to the game. But if you saw the play, it was a routine tackle. There was nothing, no dirty play. There wasn't a dirty play. I know UCF fans are going to tell you